Is the federal government strict enough with non-essential international travel?
People are taking trips and going places that putting themselves at risk. They're putting their families and everybody else when they come back at risk. It makes no sense. You know, I can't think of too many reasons that would call you away. You know, yes, it's sad when you lose a family member or whatever that you can't be there for the funerals, but you know, is it better to have them over there and you here? You know, if you go over there, you can come back and take 2 or 3 other people with you, you know.
It's interesting that we've been able to curtail travel within Canada, and yet we're reluctant to prevent people from going on vacations overseas. So I'm not sure why that hesitancy.
It's just it's spreading different variants of this virus, and it's just not necessary. That is one unnecessary travel you don't have to do. Just like you don't have to go off the island, don't go off the island. That's the same thing.
I don't think we should be doing it if we can avoid it. I mean, some people may need to for whatever reason, but like you said, non-essential, so maybe it's not. I'm not going on vacation this year anyway, and I'd love to.
I think travel restrictions are probably good. I thought that from the outset that the travel would have to be very much restricted, and I think for PEI, the Atlantic bubble and then the closing of the Atlantic bubble has been very effective. I've been very supportive of those restrictions, so I think there has to be probably travel restrictions in place for a longer period of time.
No, I don't. They have to be more strict. Because there's too many people coming in on flights and spreading the disease.
I think it's strict enough in principle. Enforcement is a little lax seemingly. It's a self-isolation, it's not a quarantine, it's relying on people to report themselves. You know, seeing politicians and people in positions of power go on vacation over Christmas and kind of disregard the advice is a little disheartening, especially, you know, when people are using that as an example and seeing other people do that, and it's gonna affect them as well.
I don't think they're strict enough. I think there are people in positions of power and leadership who have seemed to go through the loopholes and gone on trips, which is frustrating for sure, because they should be leading all of us in the restrictions that we're all supposed to be following. And so I don't think it's strict enough, no, personally.
Well, I think it should be enforced, and I think it's shameful what some, particularly people who know better, have done, politicians and others who have traveled. But there are things, you know, instruments like having a COVID test before you fly to Europe, for example, quarantine upon arrival. Those things are all good. So I don't think we should need to shut down travel totally. But we sure need to respect some of these rules.
Totally agree, particularly quarantine coming back. We can't control everybody leaving the country, but we can certainly monitor people coming back in. And the 14-day quarantine, I don't know how well it's monitored, but I would like to see stricter monitoring of it.
I'll definitely admit I'm not too happy to see a lot of people being a little bit entitled and going on you know, personal travel like that. I understand certain types of travel are gray areas and kind of, you know, maybe need to be, or it's like for mental health kind of purposes. But, you know, vacationing, I would definitely like to see a little bit more control, just to try and put some sort of prevention or some sort of friction on people doing that. Even if there's just like the tiniest amount of consequences, I think that'll actually slow it down a little bit.
I don't necessarily think like the restriction on like non-essential travel is strong enough, but it's good that like we're still closing the border between like the U.S. and other countries as well. Well, because we only have one border, I guess, or two.
I have been following them. I haven't been home in over a year. And so I would hope that people are not travelling for non-essential reasons. I'm not really sure how they're enforcing that over the borders, so I can't really comment on whether they are being strict enough.
I haven't been like in a place where I can judge if they're enough or not. But I do agree that as much as we keep it in one country or in one county, in one city, it's easier to deal with it than if everybody's moving up and down everywhere.
And how about yourself, sir? The travel restrictions?
I think it's good. I mean, I don't know how strict it is. I don't know if it can be any stricter, but I think that it helps to have it in place because it makes people think twice. We were going to take a trip back in November, and we went on travel restriction here in BC, and we just didn't go. Nothing happened.